Yeah, here we go. Just 10 spots left. After that, I won't be able to accept as Google Meet has a limit of 100 folks. So I think it's time for the introduction part. Nikhil, I hope you are recording it, right? Nikhil? Yeah. Yeah, fine. So yeah, let's start. Let me admit all of you.
Hello, excuse me.
Yeah, like we are starting. Please mute yourself.
I'm
So
Harsh
warm
from
greetings to all of you.
Karachi.
Yeah, sure. We will upload it on YouTube. So good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining with the Bug Bounty Brigade. We welcome all of you to our session with Aditya Shende. I don't think uh, Mr. Aditya Shende needs any introduction, but still. So Aditya Shende is Bugcrowd's top 100 hacker, and he has done his masters from UK, and he is a overseas pen tester and bug bounty trainer. And I want Diti Shinde to take this session forward. Our topics today's topic is 2FA bypass in authentication. And I would like to thank Aditya Shinde for giving his precious time to Bug Bounty Brigade, whole Bug Bounty Brigade community, and thanks to Nikhil for arranging this session. Thanks a lot. We highly appreciate your time. And yeah, here you go.
Yeah, hello everyone. So I hope you can hear me, and basically we can start with the screening. So I won't take the lot of time, but it will be very great that you can just mute yourself so we cannot hear the audio from other places. So I guess my screen is visible. Before starting onto the 2FA bypass, I would like to share a few things with you. So many people are here about the bug bounties. Many people did the bug bounties. In today's topic, we'll be learning about the 2FA bypass hacks. So I would like to introduce myself also. So at this moment, as you guys know, that my name is Aditya Shende. Most of the people on the internet, you guys know me as KongSec. I'm a bug bounty hunter and the trainer. Also, as Aditya said, I'm overseas pen test trainer also. In that case, at the moment, I have done my education from MIT Pune, plus I have done masters in cybersecurity from University of East Anglia, UK. And I came back to India, started the organization. At the moment, I'm co-founder and the CHO of Hackers. And absolutely, you guys know I'm very mad with the bikes. So it's all about me. It's not the many people know me. The few people don't know me. So that's why I've given my introduction. And absolutely, I would like to thanks for Bug Bounty Brigade community for arranging this topic. So talking about the 2FA, don't worry, this PPT will not be long. So we'll be jumping on the exploit also. Talking about the multi-factor authentication, what exactly this topic is significant, and many people used to do online payments by cards, by the UPIs, or whatever the payment integration they are using. So many people into the Flipkart, many people into the Amazon, they do have a two-factor authentication part, but less of the people know how the MFA works and what is the basic need for it. So in the case of two-factor authentication, it's like a popular way to protect online accounts with an additional layer of security. So basically, you will put your username, you will put your password, and then it will send an OTP or one-time password over your email address, or might be on your phone number, or might be the mobile application. So many people uses Google Authenticator or maybe Outlook software over that. So in the case of 2FA significance, it's very vital for the bug bounty hunters to have the reduces the unauthorized access. So how the 2FA works actually? So in the case of working 2FA, as you can see, I'm combining the theory first and then we'll be jumping on the technical part. So in 2FA specific part, it is a combined with a password and as a second factor. Many people might people know the techniques how to bypass the 2FA and something like that. But on the integrations of publicly accessible domains, the common methods are SMS codes, apps, or tokens. So many people know about the SMS code, many people know about the application that Google Authenticator can be used by scanning the QR code and these like that. But in the case of tokens, the two-factor authentication always integrate with the client side plus the server side validation. So the tokens can be used in the headers by the JWT. Most of the time I have seen it, the JWT token is being getting used. Apart from that, talking about the techniques. So for understanding many 2FA bypass techniques will be discussed throughout this specific session. So even before Nikhil asked me that, Aditya, you're gonna do this, I told him the topic. So yesterday I spent a very good hours on a two-factor authentication, did some of the research over that. As you can see, there are 4 points at the screen the moment. So it includes the detection first. So the techniques I would like to express, many people know about this on the internet, like response manipulation, status code manipulation, 2FA code leakage into the responses, but very less people know how to analyze it. So talking about the context here, so you need to understand how the website is works with which context and the technologies is getting used by the webalizer. So webalizer is the extension that can be used to understand what kind of techniques or what kind of technology or languages is getting used by the website. But apart from that, mostly you have to play your 2FA bypass techniques over pre-reconnaissance. For a normal user, how it works, he just put or she just put a username or a password, then the OTP comes, then the right OTP, once right OTP is gone through that, so we get the account access. But what will happen if we put the wrong OTP and still we can access the account? So in this case, we really don't need the OTP to access the account. So it create the question into the 2FA bypass. If the request itself, it shows there are some context or there are some parameters are missing or that can be modified. As you can see, there is a right plus wrong OTP too. So even if you put the right OTP, sometimes website doesn't allow you to access it. The moment you put the wrong OTP and you manipulate some things with the keywords like true, false, 0, 1, whatever it is, so you can bypass that. Talking about the request, this is totally fine. So you have to check if there is any token into the response or if there is any token into the response or not. I'm talking about the response, not about the request. In Burpsuit, you can see the request, you can see the response. The moment you see the response with there something embedded code. So how many guys have seen some sort of cookies or some sort of sessions or some sort of sessions or some sort of tokens into the responses? I would like to know more about it. Apart from that, you can put your opinions into the chat also. So don't worry, I will check one by one. So if there is any token into the response or if there is no any token into the response, mostly you can consider that as a JWT. So JWT, it goes with a specific JSON web tokens. You can decode it by jwt.io website. But in that case, it always comes up with the JSON request. But you cannot expect JSON request into the get part. So what I'm trying to say, whenever JSON request comes up, it always gets started with the context. So in the first part, as I said, understanding how the website works as a normal user, right? So JSON request always comes with the curly brackets and there will be parameters within the double quotes. So talking about the request and response, this is the very crucial part about finding and detecting an exploitation of a 2FA bypass. So it's time to observe the request and response with the keywords like true, false, 1, 0. So what does the developer do? Some developers might get offended what I'm trying to say here. But in this case, developers do make a mistake while creating the application. If you're using a JSON context or JSON body into the request, same response you will expect into the response side. So when you put your username, when you put your password, always observe what kind of context is trying to get up. So there are keywords which I have written like true, false, 1, 0 for the exploit. So these are the very common keywords that I'm trying to show you. So in this case, you can observe this specific request. So basically, I guess I don't have any problem showing over the application. So this application is actually having the post request, which includes the API auth account check. So this specifically endpoint of the API with the host of login.web.agio.com. But if you see or analyze this specific request, the mobile number parameter is in JSON context. So detecting the 2FA bypass first is always comes up with the request and the response. So if the request contains any kind of parameter which is in JSON syntax, so as you can see, my parameter is mobile number and it starts with something like this. Then after, absolutely we can expect some sort of information. But the point is, if the application is secure, as you can see, this application is already secure, which includes multiple types of cookies, session status, and sometimes it can also disclose some sort of information into the cookies also. As you can see, the MN, which says the phone number, which is UI, which is the which is the blue parameter over here, which shows the different mobile number. And also in the parameter which I'm having at the moment, which is mobile number, it shows my own mobile number. So it is highly possible that session or the cookies can also disclose a lot of information, but not the OTP. But for the bypassing like that, we have to observe what actually it creates. So in this application, when I check for the OTP, when it was sending the OTP, I was getting this specific response. So this specific response says success is a true. And if you observe it correctly, it starts with curly brackets too. If your request is including a mobile number parameter or any kind of parameter which says mobile number into the double quotes and then your numerical numbers, so you can expect the data in the response in JSON syntax only. So this is talk about the context, that how website works with which context. So mostly the nowadays websites are working over the JSON syntaxes, and that's how it goes through it. But the point is, many people go wrong with that. So they ask like, Aditya, there might be some tokens, there might be some sort of encryption which is in the response. So we cannot get this. So as a human mind, we cannot expect from ourselves that we can guess this big encrypted string. But the point is, what will happen if we can guess this specific string? So absolutely, we are not a robot, so we can just talk about it. But in this case, we can trick the web application with specific status code or specific true analysis. So most of the people have seen the techniques like response manipulation, request manipulation, status code manipulations. Also, they have said like a 2FA code leakage into the response. So what do they do actually? Just copy the response and paste the response. It doesn't work like that. So first of all, you have to understand how actually it is working. So is it having a JSON syntax? Is it having any kind of other syntax? Sometimes it might be the GET request, which says OTP verified equal to true or OTP verified equal to false. So if it's a false, so you can make it true over there. Let's talk about the next. So in this case, exploitation, how does it work? Or what things you need to do? So don't worry, I'm just explaining over the theory here. I will show you the exploit too. So in this case, first of all, when you send an OTP on your phone number or maybe on your mobile or maybe on your email address, so first of all, always capture the valid OTP response. I'm not talking about the request. So you send that request, you can capture that and you can get the response. So you need to understand what kind of response it's sending. So in response, it might say success true or verified true, something like that. As you can see, I am highlighting over here the first keyword. And then after, we can expect the response can be manipulated or response can be used multiple times. So in this case, you say there is a modification we can do over the application plus the headers too. But headers nowadays, they don't work as we expected. So modification of response, including the status code, is very important. So many people have status code manipulation, which is different technique. Many people have the confusion over the response manipulation, have a very different technique. So from my side, what do I see into the website while exploiting? First of all, I always go to the validation part, that how it is working. So when I put the right OTP, what kind of response I'm getting? It is disclosing any kind of access token. It is disclosing any kind of JW token. I don't know about it. The moment I get the right response, I validate that into Notepad. I just put that into the Notepad. And the next part, when I try to exploit over that, I will check what kind of responses I will get. So when I put the wrong OTP, absolutely it will say 403 forbidden, or it will say 401 unauthorized or bad request, or server cannot accept it. Unless and until our application is using JSON request or JSON response or JSON context, we can expect a lot of information from that. So you can happily bypass over that. So in this case, if you see, this is my personal account and it shows the first name is a test here. But probably I cannot change the email address. Even if there is an email address change, it will still ask. So where to find the information, or where you can find the two-factor authentication enable? So first of all, you need to understand, when you go to the account settings, you can probably get into the application, or you can probably get add to the email address or the phone number. The moment you add the phone number, it will ask for the OTP, or it will ask for the one-time password, whatever it sends to your email address, or might be your mobile number, right? So till the moment, if you guys have any question, you can just drop in a chat. Within like 10 to 20 seconds, we can see the exploit, so you can understand it very wisely. All right. So you can just drop the question. I will answer it later. So till the moment we have indication, but the problem is, if we don't have any kind of token, might be we can just access the internal infrastructure without any kind of information. The moment you bypass the two-factor authentication without the token, you just access the infrastructure. But still, it's a security issue, because it will create a question over the security or development when they have added the OTP verification function over there. Then why it's not verifying the OTP, right? Even if you put a phone number, even if you put the email address, you can put the random OTP numbers, it still can be bypassable. All right. So let's watch over my screen. I hope you can see my screen. Is it visible, guys?
Yeah, it is visible.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
So let's launch my, actually this is my gaming and time pass hunting laptop. So you can just don't mind about the mess up. So what I'm trying to say over here, so this specific application is having something like this. So they are like a trading platform, and they are like a BTC platform. Not sure, but I took the permission from Nikhil, so I can do whatever I can. So they do have an option called that you can enable the two-factor authentication from here. But the point is, even if there is a two-factor authentication, what things we need to do? So I'll just log in into my account, and let's see what we can do. All right, so I get logged in into the account. It says blah, 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 whatever it is. So the point is, account settings option or security option. When you go to the account, always the security option have the one code which says current new password, all of this. And after that, there is an enhanced 2FA security. So the people who are like old students, they might know this about it, but I'm just telling you, revise it again. So you can just enable the code over here. So what it asks for, scanning the QR code. All right. Scanning the QR code includes a specific data. So if I'm scanning this QR code from my Google Authenticator, it will generate one OTP for that specific account. So now at the moment, I will just scan it. And I will enable my two-factor authentication. I will revalidate you if it is working or not. So at the moment, my current OTP is 17053. Factor authentication enable internal function that from the outside, absolutely it will need a username and a password, right? So I'll just log out and I'll try to validate again. So when I click on the login, yes, absolutely, it's asking for the OTP. Just imagine now at this moment how to analyze it. All right, bypassing the 2FA, this is the one technique which I'm trying to tell you. So here I will put my valid OTP first. As a bug bounty hunter, I'm taking this functionality to understand. The moment I make intercept on, oops, I get logged in. I need to enable my proxy. Okay, let's log out and let's revise it again. So I'll just log in over here. It's asking for the OTP. So first of all, understand how it is working as a normal user, which I've said in third page of PPT. I'm putting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as a testing to understand what kind of context they are using. The moment I make the intercept on, first of all, understand the workflow, how it is working. So at the moment, as you can see, this is the post request which they are trying to create, and the TFA code which says that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But understand, this specific application is using a JSON syntax, which starts with curly bracket. And as I said, there will be parameters over here. So the blue button or the blue color represents the TFA token, which says this is the JWT token for that specific OTP. As I said, if there is any token or if there is any kind of sensitive information which includes the JWT, that can be bypassed or that can be decoded. But if there is having some sort of signatures or security signatures, we cannot bypass it. So absolutely, they have some sort of security they have implemented, but still we can try to bypass it. So in the notepad, I'll just put my token, whatever I have. So I'll recheck it again. So I need to understand if I put the wrong OTP, what response I'm getting first. So you can just right click, do intercept response to this specific request and just check it. So the point is, if I'm putting a wrong OTP, so it shows 400 bad requests with the JSON context response itself. So there are few bypasses which I have already disclosed over my Twitter, what kind of context and what kind of bug bounty things you need to use. And I guess I will put my hashtag as a Kongsec. You can check on the Google itself. So if I put the wrong OTP, it says 400 bad requests, but partially I can try to bypass it. So understanding first is intended. Now at this moment, if I put the right OTP, expect. Let's forward it. This is my right OTP which I have put, and I can take the response of it. So do intercept response to this request. So when I put the right response, when I put the right OTP, it generates the TFA token plus it shows some sort of information, and the status code is 200 OK. So I can just, for my references, I can just put in my notes for further use. So there is a token already created for this specific user. And this token, the highlighted token is different, and the first token is absolutely different. So it is highly possible they are doing a validation over the application. So as a normal user, what we have seen, when we put the right OTP, we are getting 200 OK. So I'll just forward, and as expected, right OTP, which means we can get the account access. Now it comes to the exploitation. So I'll just log out again. Understanding first part about the bypassing. Let's talk about it. If it's a JSON response, if it says admin and the parameter or the parameter value of admin may be true or maybe false. So I have seen a broken access control on unauthorized access in my bug bounty journey, where if it says is admin is false, so I have tried the exploit which says admin equal to true. But this is very rare case in nowadays. New web applications which are into the Next.js or React.js, they are using a very high quantity or they are using a very high quality of the security infrastructure. But in the case of 2FA bypass, if there is a JSON syntax, there are few exploits which I have already used. So I always pass my value with the success, and the value of that specific success will be with the true. But sometimes it does not accept like this. So we can go with the multiple other exploits like success, true, and the status code will be the remain same. Sometimes it says, I have seen few of the exploits, so you can just expect few of the things from here. Is verified. Let's suppose if it says is verified 0, which means that specific account is not verified. So we can probably go with the is verified 1, which says the true value, which says the valid value. So in this case, how we can exploit with this specific status code, with this specific parameters, which we can embed into the response. So many people will say, Aditya, this is just a response manipulation. But understand first, before doing the response manipulation, we have understood what kind of context the web application is using, right? So let's go back. Let's talk about it. So the moment I click on the login, absolutely, this is the authentication process. So it asks for the OTP. Now just imagine, here is the point we have to exploit the application. So I can just randomly put 001144. This is not my current OTP, or I can just put anything. Let's suppose 11111, and that's it. This is not my right OTP, but it's time to bypass. So intercept on, I'm trying to verify this code. The moment you see the verify code, it always comes with the JSON syntax, mostly on the new web applications or the medium level applications. So what do I see here? It's creating another JWT token, and I do not consider this token as a security thing. So I don't believe they have implemented this JWT token for the security, but I need to check the responses. So I'll do intercept response to this specific request and interception of. So as expected response that we are receiving 400 bad requests. Now we have to compare what kind of positive response we received on right OTP. So when I put the wrong OTP, it says 400 bad request. And when I put the right OTP, it says 200 okay. But it also includes some sort of JWT token and multiple parameters. So we don't need that. We can just simply use a different thing. So probably I'll be changing with the parameters or the response value with the 200 okay. And then I can embed my success true value. So success true is mostly used or mostly authorized into the backend application, those who are using a JSON context. So I'll be passing my value with the double quotes. And as you can see, I'm writing over here. So success and passing value with the success true. Till the moment you can see application is still says login, sign up, and I'm not logged into the account. And I have put my wrong OTP. So I do simulate this that I don't have the right OTP or I don't have any kind of operational security over here. I'm just trying to bypass with the wrong OTP. The moment I change the response code over here and I add something in my response body, I click on the forward. So it says I'm logged in. So the question is, when I put the right OTP, I get the right response. But the moment I put the wrong OTP, I was getting 400 bad. But still, as an attacker, we can manage to bypass this application with the wrong OTP. I'll still revise it again. I will show you again. So we have this account. All right. I'll click on the login. So in this case, I'll be putting, let's suppose 777 6 times. Intercept on. So you guys know this is not my own OTP. So I'll just verify the code with the request and I'll check what kind of response I'm getting. So this is my request till the moment I'm not logged in. And I'll just check the response for this. The response says 400 bad requests. So absolutely I will try to bypass it with the 200 okay. But 200 okay is not enough because in the old response or old valid response, we have seen they are using some sort of techniques over here. Okay, so still, if I want to add any kind of extra parameter, I would add it. So I'll just, let's suppose, add this PFA enable true. And yeah, just give me a moment. So it says success true and TFA enabled. So we can still add some sort of functionalities from here. So I can just add into the response body and let's see if we are logged in or not. So till the moment I have not forwarded anything. So I'll just click on the forward. Done. We are in. So in security options, as you can see, the 2FA security is always enabled over here. So it creates the question, do we really need OTP or do we really think the OTP or one-time password is really secure? As an attacker, as you can see, this is a Bitcoin platform or crypto platform, and they are using this kind of security. So always start with the context, which I have already shown into the application. So let me revise again and tell you what things you should do for. Let's go back. So this application is also using a mobile number in a JSON context, but understand which can be vulnerable and which cannot be. So this application also includes multiple of cookies and sessions and the tokens. The moment you see there are multiple sessions and the tokens into the responses, you can understand this application is totally secure. Mostly bug bounty hunters, those who have recently started or those who are doing very good at the moment. So they might have this arrogance or they might have attitude that at least I can find a one vulnerability. This might be vulnerable, and they put the quotes over their bio or something like that. Security comes with the vulnerability. Absolutely, it comes with the vulnerability, but do understand not every application is vulnerable. For bypassing or finding any kind of vulnerability, at least you need to understand how the application is working. So that's why I have added this kind of screenshots to understand. Application is specifically using a JSON context. It can be vulnerable for multiple other bugs, not only the 2FA bypass or not only MFA bypass. It is highly possible that we can do the account takeover here, because the response itself shows the mobile number. So in response, if I manipulated my mobile number with the victim, is it possible that I can get access to his account or her account? Maybe possible. So this is totally over how you think, what kind of vulnerabilities you can expect, and mostly the web application which requires the OTP to log in directly. So maybe a Dream 11 or maybe Amazon application or maybe My Bill Book or Khata Book or any kind of application. Sometimes Android apps or web application also requires OTP to just get logged in. All right. The moment you bypass that kind of functionality, you can directly do it as account takeover. Now in the web application, we need to put username and password. But into some of the application only requires a mobile number and the OTP to get access to the account. So these kind of vulnerabilities can go to the very crucial level, very critical level. What I'm trying to say in the last, just the request and just the response is pretty enough to understand what kind of exploits you can do. So hit and try, submit, modify. You want to add something into the headers, you can probably do that. You can add any kind of garbage value. Even there is a website called JSFork, which leads to, when I was trying to perform a DOS attack, long string DOS attack over the JSON syntax, it generated a garbage response, plus it generated the SQL syntax error. So JSON syntax can be very, very useful for the bug bounty hunters in the case of they're trying to exploit some of the other vulnerabilities. So also there is one thing I would like to add. So as you can see, there is a mobile number parameter. So highly possible it is the request to send a OTP. Understand first. So what will happen if I copied this parameter again by putting the comma, and again I added another number. So in one request there are two parameters which I'm trying to add. I'm getting the responses over here. So is it possible they can send the OTP onto the new application? So it is highly possible. As an attacker, I can put the mobile number into the request twice or thrice. So in one parameter, if I put two numbers, we can hit and try that if it is sending any OTP on second number also. So that can be considered as a parameter pollution. It can be considered into the response or request manipulation. And there is a HPP keyword we use for, as a mostly bug bounty hunters, they use a parameter pollution in the JSON syntaxes itself. But the point is, you cannot find these kind of information. You cannot find these kind of techniques or exploits over the GET request. Mostly you have to play with the APIs, and API always comes with the JSON syntax. So let's go further. And over this, as you know that I have explained over this about the request, response, modify, and about the headers. So in headers, you can add multiple other values. If you want to add true equal to 1, true equal to 0, is verified true, you can do that. Yep. And over the settings, you can find two-factor enablement or two-factor security enable option into the my personal information or account settings from your side. And I do believe you can replicate these kind of issues on your targets, on your information things. So yeah, that's all from my basic side. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer you all. So I'll be giving you basic information about this also. This is very a different analysis which I was doing actually. What happened when I was testing on the application side, it created one of the form which sends the email to the admin. But when I tried to perform the JSON syntax just by putting 200 OK and status code or few of the success true, this value, I was able to access a admin level. But include this, that admin was using a demo account. So I said, like, even if the admin is using a demo account, why he should or she should add some of things in his cart or her cart. So this was the vulnerability which I was able to manage to find, and it went up to the $800, and it was totally fine. Why it is $800, even if it's admin access to the website? because this was totally demo environment, but this was containing some sort of very crucial like API endpoints and the URL with the keys and the tokens. So that's why they have paid this much. Yep. Thank you from my side. I'm